Hello friends, welcome to the video lessons on electronic measuring instruments. In this class, I am going to explain about the various measurements that can be done using the CRO. In the last class, we have seen what are the various front panel controls of CRO and how the basic measurement of time period and amplitude of the applied input signal can be measured. Various front panels that we have seen in the last class are uh, channel selector control, focus and intensity control, vertical amplifier controls, horizontal amplifier controls, and trigger controls. So all these different controls we have seen in the last class, and how to operate them also we have seen. Now based on that knowledge of how to use the CRO, let us try to analyze how various measurements can be done using CRO. Let us try to do the measurement of both DC and AC voltage, and measurement of time interval and frequency of a signal, then measurement of phase angle, measurement of depth of modulation, and measurement of various pulse parameters such as rise time, fall time, pulse width, uh, then delay time, and uh, so all these parameters we will try to measure using CRO. First, let us start with the measurement of DC voltage. For measuring a DC voltage, what we have to do initially is this slider switch in the vertical amplifier section is to be switched to ground position. Is to be switched to ground position. Then, as we discussed in the last class, a horizontal line appears on the screen. Now, by adjusting this vertical movement knob, let the horizontal line appearing on the screen be brought to the center of the screen. Exactly like this. The horizontal line of the display has to be brought to the center of the screen by using this. Once this part is completed, next apply the input signal. Apply the DC input signal here to the BNC connector. Then move this switch to DC measurements position. Move this switch to DC measurement position. In that case, what happens? As long as the switch is in ground position, you see a straight line at the center of the screen. Once DC voltage is applied and the switch is changed to DC position, that is DC measurement position, the straight line at the center of the screen will move up by a certain distance depending upon the amplitude of the applied DC voltage. Like this it will be shifted upwards, or suppose if negative DC voltage is applied, it will be moved downwards. So now from the center of the screen we have to measure the distance between the center of the screen and the present position of the horizontal line. It is two divisions here on the graticule of the CRO. So this straight line is appearing here with the vertical amplifier switch placed in 5 volts per division place or position. 5 volts per division position, the vertical amplifier switch is placed. With that position, the change in the I mean the display of the screen is changed from the center to 2 divisions up. So what is the corresponding voltage? For 1 division it is 5 volts. So for 2 divisions it is 10 volts. So the applied DC input voltage is 10 volts. That is how we have to calculate the value of DC voltage. Similarly, if it is negative voltage, then it will move down by 2 divisions, and with 5 volts per division uh, position of the vertical amplifier switch, the DC input voltage applied is 5 into minus 2, that is minus 10 volts. Applied DC input voltage is negative and its magnitude is 10 volts. Now, measurement of AC voltage. When an AC signal is applied, as already we have seen in the last class, we have to measure time period and peak to peak magnitude. Here, the peak to peak magnitude, to measure the peak to peak magnitude here, see the distance between the upper peak to the lower peak. It is taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divisions. The signal is occupying 6 divisions for peak to peak change. So 6 divisions with each division corresponding to 2 volts, the total peak to peak voltage of the applied input AC signal is 12 volts peak to peak. And as you can see here, the signal is taking 5 divisions for completion of one cycle. So the time period is completed in a duration of 5 divisions, with each division corresponding to 5 milliseconds. So the total time period here is 25 milliseconds. 25 milliseconds, as we have discussed in the last class, is equal to 40 Hertz frequency. Frequency is 1 by time period, that is 1 by 25 into 10 power minus 3, or 10 power 3 by 25, or 1000 by 25, that is equal to 40. So the frequency of the AC input signal is 40 Hertz. That is 40 Hertz. This we already discussed. Now, a simulation of CRO is shown here. For this, we have to go for slideshow version. Now, you can see a sinusoidal signal here. Now, let us see how the signal amplitude changes by changing the gain. This is the adjustment of signal. Now you can see here. Actually, the signal is having an amplitude of 3 millivolts, and the frequency of the signal is preset to 250 Hz. Amplitude, this is not changing, so it is a fixed one, and frequency also is fixed. Now, by adjusting these knobs, let us check whether in each and every position we are getting the same value or not. So 3 volts is the peak to peak magnitude and 250 Hz is the frequency. 250 Hz means what is the time period? 1 by 250. So that is 1 by 250 or else 1000 by 254. So 4 milliseconds is the time period. So now let us see. Yes, 1.5 millivolts per division. So here you can see for one division the variation is 1.5 millivolts, and here it is given as amplitude, not peak to peak amplitude. Amplitude means from center we have to measure the peak value. So from center, if you observe, it is occupying two divisions, and each division corresponds to 1.5 volts. So 2 into 1.5 is 3 volts. Now, if the position exactly is not shown here, then is not correct here. It is not between graticule. Then you can adjust the vertical position like this. Now also you can see. Suppose if the signal is like this, we cannot exactly identify what is the value. Of course, by adjusting the horizontal movement of the signal, then also you can identify. So here it is occupying zero point 0.2 on this, 1.2 on the negative end, and 2.8 on the positive side. But that would not give the correct value. So to get the correct value, we have to select the vertical position correctly. So this is the correct position. So for with this position, now you can see what is the amplitude, what is the frequency we have to measure. Here for one cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4 division, it is taking 4 divisions, and each division corresponds to 1 millisecond per division. So each division corresponds to 1 millisecond. So 4 divisions means 4 milliseconds, or 1 by 4 milliseconds is 250 Hz frequency. So that is justified. Now move this. This is how you can move the signal. Horizontal shift. In any position you will get the same value. And by adjusting the uh, time base, here the time base is 1 millivolt, so 1 millisecond. Instead of that, I can either increase. Now how much is that? This one 2 2 milliseconds, but here we do not know where exactly is the position, so use the horizontal shift to get it to the correct position. So here is the position. The cycle starts from here, 1 and 2. Two divisions, each division corresponding to 2 milliseconds. Obviously, it also comes as 4 milliseconds. So, by adjusting the gain, now please check here, it is 1 millivolt. So, 1, 2, 3 divisions. 3 divisions means 3 millivolts. If I reduce this, if I see reduce this like this, exactly 3, let it be Okay, let it be 10. 10 means, now please check here by adjusting this position. Where is the peak value? The peak value is now one subdivision and half subdivision, that is 1.5. Mm, where is this? Let it be 1.5 in this case. 1, 2. 2 into 1.5 is 3. It is 1, 1, 2, 3. 3 into 1.3 into 1 is 3. So that is how, even though we adjust the time base, that is milliseconds per division, time base, what we say, frequency or amplitude, or if you change the vertical gain, the values does not change, only thing the shape changes, and based on accurate measurement on graticule we can arrive at the exact values. Next, measurement of peak value. Now here, this is 3 divisions, you can see, and already we have discussed about this. Measurement of frequency, this also we have discussed. 4 divisions, 4 milliseconds, and even if you adjust this, you will get that one. Then for self test, now you can see both input also is variable now. Now instead of 3 millivolts, let me take it as 30 millivolts. So on the screen it is not visible as such. So for that, what I have to do, I have to increase the gain. Sorry, I have to decrease the gain. So even then also it is out of range. So when it is out of range, you cannot apply that much signal. Actually, when wide range of gain adjustments are there, we can go for even higher values also. But here only from 1 to hardly 5 milliseconds change is there, and zero point 0.1 to 10 millivolts division change is there. Suppose if it is 30, yes, we can get this. So for 30 millivolts, let me change the frequency or the time period. Now please see here by adjusting the X position exactly to cover the center. Uh, hmm, this seems there is some problem. So by adjusting this, you can vary the amplitude. Some problem is there. So that is how, this is for self testing. That means by increasing the amplitude and by increasing the, or by changing the frequency, or by decreasing the amplitude, increasing the amplitude, increasing the frequency and decreasing the frequency. Now whether you can get the correct values or not, that has to be tested using this. But anyhow, here the simulation version, some problem is there. Let me come out of this for a while. Now let me check. Okay, still problem is there. So that is self-test. Now coming to the measurement of phase. How do you measure the phase? We have to measure the phase of a signal with reference to another standard signal. So for phase measurement, we have to follow a specific procedure. Phase shift describes the difference in timing between two otherwise similar signals. That is, the signals have same frequency. Phase shift is measured for signals having the same frequency and same shape. There can be variation in magnitude and there can be variation in phase, but there should not be variation in frequency. If variation in frequency is there, we cannot measure the, we should not measure the phase shift, and that is not accurate. A simple example, when a sinusoidal signal is applied to a resistor, then a sinusoidal current would be generated in the circuit, and that sinusoidal signal, it would have the magnitude as V by R, where V is the instantaneous value and R is the value of resistance. Suppose if V is Vm sin omega t, then I is equal to V by R into sin omega t. That is, V by R is I sin omega t. So amplitude can change, but phase phase also may change when the input is applied through inductive or capacitive or a combination of inductance, resistance, or inductance, capacitance. So for all these combinations, you can have both magnitude and phase angle changes, but there should not be a variation in frequency. Only in such cases we do phase measurement. Now here in this particular example, one signal is applied to X channel, another signal is applied to Y channel. Now as you can see, voltage is starting at time t is equal to 0, whereas current is starting at time t is equal to 90. So both the signals starting, either we have to select, or the peak value we have to select. It is reaching its peak value here and it is reaching its peak value here. So either from here to here or from here to here or from end here to the end here, between either these two. So that value is exactly 90 degrees. We can say phase shift is 90 degrees. And how to measure that phase shift? Once again, uh, just by observation, sometimes we can say if it is exactly 90 degrees, we can tell. But for other than 90 degrees, then we have to use the calibrated scales in times per division, that is in time-based scale and vertical amplifier scale. So here 5 millivolts per division is selected on the times per division switch. Two sinusoidal waveforms of same time period, that is 25 milliseconds, are displayed. The distance between the 2 points which are in the same phase as displayed is given as 1 division. So the distance between these two signals on the scale is 1 division. 1 division corresponds to 5 milliseconds. So 5 milliseconds is the phase difference between the two signals, right? Phase difference between the two signals. So 5 milliseconds means what is that? Here, one cycle corresponds to 360 degrees. One cycle corresponds to 360 degrees. So 5 milliseconds duration is, time period is 360 degrees. So 360 divided by 5. That is the amount of difference between the two signals. That is 72 degrees. So the phase difference between these two signals is 72 degrees, corresponding to 5 milliseconds between the two signals. Now, this is one method of phase measurement. And in another method, uh, by using this slider switch in XY mode and by using this push button switch pressed in, we can get Lissajous patterns like this. And using these Lissajous patterns, we can find out the phase difference between the two signals even when the frequencies are not same. Even when the frequencies are not same. Just see here, this is how the uh, Lissajous pattern appears on the CRO screen when both signals applied for X channel and Y channel are having the same frequency. Let this be 1 kilohertz and this also be 1 kilohertz. Then, depending upon the phase difference between those two signals, then if the phase difference is 0, then we will get a straight line in this direction, that is inclined in first and third quadrants. If the phase difference is 45 degrees, then we will get an ellipse whose major axis is in first and third quadrants, and of course minor axis in the second and fourth quadrants. Then here, when the two signals are having a phase shift of 90 degrees, we will get a circle like this. Then we can say directly that it has got 90, the two signals have got 90 degrees phase shift. And for 180 degrees phase shift, just opposite of this. Here, this is in first and third quadrants, and this line would be in second and fourth quadrants. Similarly, for 270 degrees, we will get the same signal, same shape. And for 360 degrees, it is nothing but 0 degrees. When two signals are having a phase difference of 360 degrees, it means that the phase difference between them is 0. So for 360 degrees also, same as 0 degrees. Now, when the signal applied to Y channel is having double the frequency of X channel signal. Let this be F and here it is 2F. Say 1 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz. Then when there is no difference between phases or when phase shift is 0, we will get a dumbbell shape like this. And the same shape continues, but the structure will change for 22 degrees 30 seconds, and for 45 degrees we will get an open-ended type of ellipse, and for 135 degrees, exact opposite of this 180 degrees difference from this and this, here it is downwards, here it is upwards. For 90 degrees it would be almost similar to 0, but only thing is the movement would be different. What we say, the electron beam moving would be different. In this case, if it is moving in this direction, in this case it would be moving in the opposite direction. In one case, suppose if you assume clockwise, in the other case it would be anti-clockwise. Then here for 180 degrees, you are getting a signal like this, a lessacious pattern like this. So looking into the patterns, we can tell what is the phase difference between the signal. So when a lessacious pattern appears like this, first conclusion is the frequency of one signal is double the frequency of the other. Which signal is having higher frequency? The signal which is corresponding to the vertical direction. Suppose if I draw a straight line horizontally and vertically, then vertically you will get two intersections and horizontally you will get four intersections. So what we have to conclude is the frequency ratio is 2 by 4. That is, horizontal signal is having a frequency which is half of the vertical signal frequency. Our vertical signal frequency is double the frequency of the horizontal frequency. Now, when the vertical signal frequency is 3 times the horizontal signal frequency, we will get different Lissajous patterns appearing like this would come. 0, this type of pattern, 15 degrees, another pattern, 30 degrees, like this, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, and 120 degrees. Similarly, for frequency of Y channel, 4 times the frequency of X channel signal. For 0 degrees, this is the structure or Lissajous pattern. For 11 degrees 15 seconds, this is the pattern. 22 degrees 30 seconds, this is the pattern. So based on the patterns, we have to identify the frequency, sorry, phase difference. Next, when a modulated signal is applied to any one of the channels of the CRO, we will get, this is an amplitude modulated wave shape. So for this amplitude modulated wave shape, we have to find the depth of modulation. Depth of modulation is given by the formula Vmax minus Vmin by Vmax plus Vmin. So this is Vmax and here is Vmin. By using the graticule on the scale, we can find out first number of divisions and what is the value for each division. Here also number of divisions, what is the value for each division. So we can get the values of Vmax and Vmin. Vmax minus Vmin by Vmax plus Vmin gives the depth of modulation. Right? Next, pulse parameters. How we can measure various pulse parameters using a CRO. An ideal pulse is described as a constant amplitude signal for a short interval of time as shown in figure. That is this portion. This is called as pulse. Here is the amplitude of the pulse and here is the width of the pulse. And this is one cycle completing positive half and negative half. Total is one cycle. And here this edge is called as rising edge and this edge is called as falling edge as shown here. Rising edge here moving from low to high, falling edge moving from high to low. So a combination of low to high and high to low forms a pulse. But in practice, a pulse signal appears to be as shown in figure. This is the ideal shape. Instantaneous changes from 0 to the maximum value. But in practice, it will not happen like that. It will change taking certain amount of time, and that also it will not reach the maximum value directly, oscillate between up and down, and after that settles down at the maximum value. So based on the structure of pulse, the rise time is defined as the time taken by the pulse signal to raise from 10% of the signal to 90% of the signal. This is called as rise time. This rise time is very important because after that you have to round it off. If you want to assume a pulse, this portion should not be considered. So you have to round it off. So rise time is very important. When you are using a pulse, we have to check at the rise time of the pulse. In how fast, in how much low time it reaches 90% of its value. That is important. The rise time indicates how quickly a circuit responds. The rise time is the time it takes for a waveform for a pulse waveform to go from 10% of the normal amplitude to 90% of the normal amplitude. Amplitude in the sense voltage. Just the one which we have already seen is a little more elaborated on the graticule. It is shown on the graticule. Here it is not in the on the graticule. So on graticule, how it appears? It appears like this. So depending upon the number of graticules and depending upon the volts per division scale, we have to check the rise time. Sorry, not volts per division, time per division scale, we have to check the rise time. Here this is the rise time, moving from 10% to 90%. Just like this, from here to here. Fall time. The fall time is the time taken by the waveform to go down from 90% of normal amplitude to 10% of the normal amplitude. This portion. When the signal is coming down, we have to leave this portion. We have to round it off here itself. So fall time also equally important as rise time, and the time taken by the pulse signal to change from 90% of its normal value to 10% of its normal value is called as fall time. Pulse width. The pulse width is the time taken by the pulse to raise to change from 50% of the normal amplitude while raising to 50% of the normal amplitude while falling. That is, from here, how much time it is taking on x-axis from here to here. That is this portion shown in red lines. Between the time between these two is called as rise time. Sorry, I'm sorry. It is pulse width. From here to here, it is called as pulse width. Delay time. Delay time is the time required by the pulse signal to reach 50% of its final value during its first cycle of oscillation. That is, starting from initial value to 50%. This is called as delay time. Duty cycle. Duty cycle is defined as percentage of the ratio of pulse duration or pulse width to the total time period of the pulse waveform. It is generally used to represent the duration of pulse when it is high. Just look at this waveform. Duty cycle is, this is on time and this is the total time. On time by total time into 100. That gives the duty cycle. Here also, from here to, or else from 50% to 50%. This is rise time, and from here to 10% to 10% once again is the total time. So that rise time divided by total time. Sorry, pulse width divided by the total time. It gives the what we call duty cycle. And duty cycle is mainly used to check for how much duration the pulse is at its high value, for how much percentage of the pulse time. Suppose pulse it has say some 10 seconds. So out of 10 seconds, how much duration it is having high value. To know that, we talk about duty cycle or we measure duty cycle. So this is all about various measurements using CRO. We have seen measurement of voltage, either DC or AC, measurement of time interval and frequency, measurement of phase, measurement of depth of modulation, measurement of pulse parameters such as rise time, fall time, pulse width, delay time, and duty cycle. So that is all about measurements using CRO. In the next class, we will discuss about the various probes that are used in CRO. Thank you very much.